What's up, disc golfers? Joe here with Joe's Disc Golf, and I have got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We've got our winners, we've got our whiners, and we've got our warriors. But before we get into it, I have to talk about our lovely, lovely sponsor, Log. What rolls downstairs alone or in pairs rolls over your neighbor's dog? What's great for a snack and it fits on your back? It's Log, Log, Log. It's better than bad. It's good. Everyone wants a log. You're going to love it, Log. Log from Blammo. There we go. All right. What is up, everybody out there in the land of the online worlds, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, and in the Discord channel? Yes, there is a Joe's Disc Golf Discord channel. Should have just called it Joe's Discord Golf channel. I don't really know where I was going with that one, but I probably should have changed the name a little bit on that one, but I didn't. That's okay. That's fine. Am I recording? Hey, I am recording. I remembered to hit the record button. Yay! Go me. I'm a special boy. So, real quick, you might have seen this in the description on Facebook and on YouTube, but not on Twitch because you don't get descriptions on Twitch because that's just how the platform rolls. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. But, oh God. Twitch, you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Or internet. So, I did post on Twitter and on YouTube that I may or may not be streaming live tonight because of some internet issues in the area. It's been kind of haywire. We've had a lot of storms and rain and all that fun stuff. And now I do have fiber that runs to the house. And so that's not affected by any lightning or anything like that, but flooding and cut cable lines and, things like that, where then the internet cannot travel through the intertubes in the glass tubes of the interwebs. That might happen. So if I randomly stop streaming, I apologize, but it is nothing to do with me and my internet. It will be recorded. It will be posted tomorrow, 9 a.m., bright and early. That's Eastern Standard Time, up there wherever you get your major podcast. Anchor, Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere. You could go to joesdiscgolf.com/podcast, I believe, or Joe's Disc Golf and go to the podcast tab. From there, then you can definitely go ahead and check out. Why is that being all weird? You can definitely go ahead and check out the podcast, which is embedded in the webpage. So you got that option. You can also check me out as well as two other lovely, talented, awesome hosts. Well, there's also RJ and Ian on Half in the Bag, and sometimes Ben. I do need to record a new intro for that, considering, Ben is having to step away, take some personal time there, which is fine. Family is important. Your sanity is important. I totally get that. So, we do have a special permanent guest. He's very special. He's told me that ever since he's been my college roommate. He's a very, very special boy. And I kind of lost the train of thought there, but here we are, Joe's Disc Golf. Can't forget to talk about the socials, Instagram, Twitter. Find me at Joe's Disc Golf. Facebook, you can also find me at Joe's Disc Golf. You can find me at joesdiscgolf.com. Just posted a new article today talking about the wonderful Eagle McMahon and his red light experience. I almost said red light district experience, but no, it's just a red light therapy experience, which I guess, depending on what you have going on, the red light district could be therapeutic in some weird ways, but that is not at all what he did. Do not. Nope. This is photobiomodulation, some light witchcraft. Light, L-I-G-H-T, with, I'm not 100% sold on it, but hey, as I said in the article, and as my philosophy kind of is with my practice, with some of the athletes I deal with who there's not usually, for the athletes who there's nothing wrong physically, it's sometimes between the ears. You slap a piece of tape on their arm and say it's magic tape, kinesio tape, same thing. And you tell them it makes their arm feel better because it does things with magic and unicorns. and, they think it works, and so it works. Half of healing is between the ears. So if he is using that to help, if that makes him feel better, I'm not going to stop him. It's not hurting him. I hope that's not the only thing he's doing, but that's not what we're here to talk about here. We're here to talk about things like the Dynamic Discs Open that just happened this past weekend. We've also got coming up the first stop in the Prodigy Discs Pro Tour. This is going to be very close for everyone, and you'll be able to see it. I'm trying to get UDisc up and working here on my iPad, but it is not loading like I'd hoped. But give me a second here. We are going to talk about that in a new tab. Come on, UDisc. Be my buddy. This is in Helsinki, Finland. That is a beautiful course out there. Very, very beautiful course out there. It is at Tallinn Frisbee Golf Puisto. It's kind of my Espanol background there. But on lead card, this is all Eastern Standard Time. So teeing off, you'll have a couple people you may or may not recognize, and that is Nicholas Antila, Daniel Davidson with 2 S's, Seppu Payu, and Yali Stur. That is all going off at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, this is the Prodigy Discs Pro Tour. So if you really want to check that out and see what's going on over in Europe, yeah, you got that going on. That's pretty sweet. That's happening there. And that's been going on for a couple years there. It's kind of one of the tours that's going on. There's also the European Pro Tour that has partnered with the Disc Golf Pro Tour to help provide coverage for the European Open. They're 2 separate entities that have nothing to do with each other. They've just worked out some kind of business agreement there. Okay, just making sure that everything is still working. It is. Yay, go me. So that's who's there. As for predictions, I have absolutely none because I do not know many of the Finnish or who is this? Yeah, I know that's Finnish. I'm trying to figure out what this other flag is. I'm not as familiar with these Estonian players outside of Kristen Tatar. So that's who's mostly there. It is all Finnish and a handful of Estonians showing up there. On the FPO side, teeing off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have Silva Saarinen, Katie Alsula, Christina Silman, and Heidi Lane. Thank you, Heidi, for making my life easier there. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. That is the Helsinki tournament. I don't know if it's the Helsinki Open or if it's called something else, or if it's just the Helsinki stop on the Prodigy Discs Pro Tour. They do have some post-produced stuff that usually comes out a day or so later. So this will be out probably Saturday sometime. I don't know when. They're in a very, very different time zone, so I'm not exactly sure about that. Huge bonus had said, and this is going back to earlier, I've heard that cryotherapy works well. Matty Kramer, pro BMX rider, dislocated his shoulder and went through cryotherapy. Said it helped him recover quickly. Cryotherapy is a very broad term that usually means putting a bag of ice on it or using a device called a Game Ready. So you strap this thing on your shoulder or on your arm, your knee, whatever. It looks like a sleeve or something like that. It goes across your shoulder and it just circulates cold air through it. There's nothing wrong with that as an adjunct to it, but it's one step. And I would argue that BMX riding is a bit different than throwing. I'm not as familiar, so I can't speak too highly on it. Obviously, what I did on my bicycle was just go forward. And that's about it, because I'm not talented. The wheels stay on the ground. Sometimes I pull a wheelie. Sometimes I stay on the bike. That's just kind of how I am. He is currently vegan, though, so his injury will not heal well and be prone to future injury, is what Huge Bonus said. I did not know he was vegan. I don't really follow many of the pro athletes and what they say, which that's actually kind of interesting because he did do Being Boozled when he talked about shoulder stuff, and jelly beans typically have lactose in them. So, and the only reason I know that is because my sister is actually lactose intolerant and she got sick, and we're like, why the hell is she getting sick? When we looked, and right there, it has milk products in it, which is funny. I'm not saying you can't get vegan ones or different kinds, but that is what it is. Went some sort of, Maddie went to some sort of tanning bed cryotherapy, sort of like Ricky with his ice bath. I'm a huge proponent of ice baths. Ice baths are fantastic. I encourage all of my athletes to do them at home so I don't have to clean the tub every single time that my patient gets in and out. Obviously, I will do that, but it is also generally easier if they do that. With all the COVID restrictions that my employer has put on me, doing an ice bath in my setting has been a damn nightmare, to say the least, because you have to fill this 40, 50 gallon tank and put ice in it, have the athlete go in it for 7 minutes to 10 minutes, maybe. I usually say 7 minutes in heaven or hell, whichever. And then you get out and you're done. Normally, it's fine. Before COVID, you could shove 2-3 kids in there. Not a big deal. You turn the motor on, it circulates the ice water. It's fine. Since COVID, you can only have one in at a time. Then I have to empty it, wash it, and fill it again. And let me tell you, the emptying and filling process takes forever. And it is horrible, horrible, horrible. But outside of COVID restrictions, it is a fantastic therapy tool, and I love it. It is great for recovery. I've done it for myself. I used to do Tough Mudders all the time, and they were absolutely fantastic. And Yoda Bard Gaming says, well, it depends if he's getting nutrients he needs. There's plenty of foods that are vegan that will give you the nutrients. Yeah, as long as you're getting the right balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Obviously, your vitamins and all that stuff you'd have to look through, but you should be able to get most of that stuff through the various different foods out there. Wow, words are so hard tonight. But you should be able to. Being an athlete definitely adds added stress, because I know, generally speaking, for vegetarians and vegans, proteins are harder to come by and harder to get a lot of. But and so there's usually some issues there. And being an athlete, even though disc golf is relatively low impact compared to other sports and other things like that, you can still do it. It's just got to be a lot harder. And I'm sure that he has, and if he hasn't, he should definitely consult with a sports nutritionist to go over that. It's a fantastic tool, relatively inexpensive. I'm assuming he's making enough money off of his disc sales and contracts to be able to afford at least 1 or 2 consultations with a sports nutritionist to help get the proper nutrients, make sure that your diet is good. I mean, it's great to do all this research on your own, but it never hurts to bounce ideas off of someone who that's their job, is to know food, especially for athletes, generally speaking. And there seems to be a big discussion between proper nutrients with vegans and all that stuff. So I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm going to not poke the bear, but just go from there. So there is also the Helsinki, like I said, the Helsinki Open is happening, or Helsinki something, Prodigy Disc Pro Tour, that is happening. If you want to subscribe, you can go through the European Pro Tour website. I believe it is $11.99 a month. There are no discounts with the PDGA or anything. There might be, if you are one of my overseas listeners, you might, I don't know, but that's happening there. So this is the first stop is Helsinki. The next one is Heinola. That will be happening May 27th through 29th. That will be the week after the OTB Open and before the Portland Open. And then there's Oulu, which is also the same time as Beaver State Fling. And we'll get more into that as that comes up there. And I'll try to keep a better eye on some of the European players out there, because who knows? Who knows what's out there? I don't know those players other than the handful of European players that have come to the U.S. to tour. Now they're kind of heading back home-ish, relatively speaking, to go do that. I do want to, hope that they are all going to be okay and safe. I only say that because things seem to be getting even more crazy over in Europe with the conflict going over there. I don't know what YouTube's rules are for what I can say and can't say, so I'm not even going to say it. We all know what we're talking about there with the big country and the little country and, all that stuff. But things seem to be heating up, and I know Estonia is close to that. Finland, Sweden, all those are close to it. So I just hope that nothing accidentally goes wrong and puts those countries and subsequent players and families in danger. So hopefully things are, going to calm down there, but whatever. That's about as close as I will dip my toes into anything relatively political, only bringing it up because of the players that live close there. Going off to UDisc, still, or I should say, staying on UDisc. They came out with a brand new feature. They announced this a couple days ago, and it came out on Cinco de Mayo. So no, you're not seeing double if there's more than one basket on your scorecard, because UDisc now has a new feature that allows you to select between different pin positions and different basket locations and different tee pads. So if this is all part of the smart layout system. So smart layouts are available in versions 14.5 in the app and beyond. So you have to have the latest one installed at the very least right now. It has definitely just come out on Apple right now. It's in the App Store, and it's supposed to be coming to Android in the next couple days. They submit these apps all at the same time. Apple has their process for approving. Google has their process for approving, and then it does its thing. Magic. Ooh. So it'll be able to change, provided that you have it all set up with your local representative. If you don't have one, I think you can apply through the app somehow. I don't know. We have a couple people in my area who already do it, who have far more time on their hands than I do. And they also have the keys for the padlocks to be able to change the layouts. So you can do that. So if the example they give, you can use the smart layouts to say, if you have a league and you want to play hole one to A basket this week, you can do that. Next week, if you want to play 1 to B, you could do that, and C, and so on. So it'll automatically change and do that. I know my leagues have struggled with getting UDisc to work for leagues. And every time they've tried to do it, it's always been with a couple days notice. They get it all set up in UDisc and they try to go live, and then it doesn't. For whatever reason, it doesn't work. And that might just be because of differences with, we're doing it on such short notice. I don't know. I haven't tried to set it up. So that's what's going on there. Okay. I'm just not even going to deal with it. So how do I know if my course has a smart layout? It has a little orange basket icon when you look at it in the upper right-hand corner of any of the different things up there. So of the courses out there, and it has the smart layouts, and you can change the tee position or the pin position for the smart layouts. I know that sometimes some of the people in my area who change the baskets don't have UDisc or don't bother to change it, because changing basket positions for all 19 holes at some of the courses, or I think 17 of the holes or 16 of the holes at another course, it's a lot of effort to move those baskets. Sometimes you're moving it, 40 feet. Sometimes you're moving it well over 100 feet. And those baskets ain't light. So that's that. But you can tap on the smart target and then change the basket locations to put it in the correct area. And then go back to your scorecard and you're all good. So you can also change the tee. If you really wanted to play, maybe you want to play all reds, but there's one blue tee that you just absolutely love at your favorite course, and it is by far the most fun. So you can go through, click that same little icon and change it so you can now play, hole 10 blue and the rest of them are red, and it'll change the par accordingly if it's a different par. So if it's a par 4 or a par 5 versus a par 3 or 4 or whatever, it's all pretty sweet. If your course does not have it, you have to talk to your course ambassador or sign up to be a course ambassador. It's really not hard. Leaderboards will look the same as before with active layouts, each having their own standings. Smart layouts, it'll be interesting because I know at one of the courses that I'm at, every hole has, I think almost every hole has three pin positions, except hole 10 doesn't, hole 11 doesn't, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, no, 1, 2. Yeah, there are 2 holes that only have 2 pin positions. So that would make things really crazy. That would, like, you could play, I don't even know, with math, you can play hundreds of different layouts and be the leader on that because this time you played reds, but with this one blue. Or you could play all blues at this one red. We also have white tees, and, you've got whites to A, whites to B, whites to C, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a pretty cool feature, especially where I'm at. Like I said, especially some of the courses, some of the layouts we do, we pick different tee pads, for Sunday night doubles or Sunday afternoon doubles at Sunday school. And, that's kind of fun there. Oh boy. There's a whole bunch of funness going on in chat right now in YouTube. And, shut up, Facebook. Facebook is yelling at me because apparently I'm not being a good boy by having my stream bitrate way too high. But that's okay. Other thing they did, UDisc also talked about the best disc golf brands according to everyday players. Because, hate to say it, the pros are going to be biased and tell you whatever they're sponsored by is going to be the best brand. Drew Gibson is definitely going to tell you that his brand is the best brand because why would he not? So they ranked everything on a 0 to 4. There was an option to skip or whatever. So best feeling plastic. These are the top 5 brands here. Starting in at number 5, Innova. Disagree. Discraft, they do have some good stuff. Latitude 64, their new Royal plastic, and subsequently now Dynamic Discs and their Grand plastic. No, not Grand. Supreme plastic. It's all the same. Feels really good. MVP, that's second. MVP is second. I will say it feels pretty good. I think if you like the overmold, then you'll like it. If not, you don't. So they averaged their rating. We'll start back at the bottom here. Innova was a 3.29 out of 4. Discraft 3.3 out of 4. Latitude 64 3.32 out of 4. MVP at 3.35, and running away with the show, the newcomer, the awesome, the beautiful, the Castaplast. They have the best plastic according to people who voted in this UDisc survey. And this is anyone who has a UDisc app, so it's out there. And you can go ahead and check that out. They did want to make mention that Latitude 64 became a co-owner of Castaplast, but does not have plans to change the plastic recipe. It does feel really good. I have a Berg, and I actually like it a lot. Although I am not crazy about telling everybody that you have to throw a Berg. Everybody needs a Berg. Everybody needs a Berg. But that is what it is. Best mold consistency. Shocking. Innova isn't even on the list, considering you can buy 7 destroyers of the same plastic type and they all fly completely different. That's one of the things I don't like about... 2 notifications. Twitch, why are you yelling at me? That is why I don't like Innova, is because you can buy from the same plastic and it fly completely different. Now, I get it. You buy one plastic versus another plastic versus another plastic. One is going to be more stable than the other. One beats a little bit different than the other. That's fine. So Westside Disc came in at number 5 with a 3.01. Discraft, number 4 with their mold consistency, 3.19. Latitude 64, 3.21, came in at 3rd. Castoplast coming in 2nd place. It is really nice there. And MVP, 3.3. I don't know much about the top two. Castoplast, I have one Berg, and it flies exactly like the one other Berg that I've tried. Obviously, everybody thinks that it flies great. Huge bonus said, Castoplast has my vote for sure. I have a K1 Svea and Berg, and they feel amazing. I really do like the Berg. It is slotted nicely into my bag where my dynamic disc guard used to be, and I really like the guard. The reason I swapped it for the Berg is because of the glide. The guard will just, for better or worse, it'll just keep going. With very little effort, it'll just keep on flying, and it's awesome, except for those holes that you don't want it to. And I liked using it for an approach shot. It's a pretty straight disc, and I like using it for a straight approach shot. And now I have the Berg, and I know that it will die. When it's done, it's done. And I'm learning how to throw it. That's the hard part. I've had it in my bag for a couple weeks. I'm finally able to dance between the raindrops and get some field work in to be able to figure out how to throw it. Because there have been a couple times that I have laced a beautiful straight shot, but juiced it too much because everybody's like, well, it's the Berg. You got to throw it hard to make it go these short distances. And I threw it, and it just sailed. Beautiful shot right over the basket. It was dead straight on the pole the whole time, just about 2 feet over the band. If there was a flag on it, I would have hit the flag and it would have stopped right there, but there's no flag on it, so no band. Yeah, so that's that. And MVP, I really don't have much experience with them. I picked up 2 discs to try because they're overstable, and I did not get them. I didn't like them because they were just too close to what I already had in my bag. Best disc golf plastic plus consistency. Castoplast number 1, MVP number 2, Latitude 64 number 3, Discraft number 4, and Discmania number 5. Top 5 brands for availability, and this was basically through the pandemic. So this is where things get really difficult because with that, with availability through the pandemic, it was tough for everybody. Number 5 was MVP. Number 4 was Prodigy. Number 3 was Latitude 64. Number 2, Dynamic Discs. Those are essentially the same. And number 3 was Innova, and they barely ticked over 3 points out of a 4-point scale. Everybody else was between 2.5 and 2.8, just because, availability sucked for everything. So this was who sucked the least. And it, brands like MVP and Prodigy, who didn't have a huge foothold to begin with, who are having a lot of discs in their warehouse, sold out of all those. And probably people got introduced to MVP and Prodigy who wouldn't have otherwise thrown it. I was fortunate in my bag setup that I didn't have to worry about that. And I was, knock on wood, I didn't lose a disc and have to buy something. So, oh boy, we've got a measuring contest with college degrees. Yay. So, whatever. I don't care. I've got 2, and they're useless pieces of paper. That one allowed me to get a certification that actually taught me something, and my advanced degree was a waste of time, but free. So, enough said about that. Top 3 brands in other categories. Best brand customer service. We had a tie. In 3rd place was Innova and MVP. Latitude 64 was number 2. Dynamic Disc was number 1. I definitely agree. Dynamic Discs, I've had a few issues with orders, and they are absolutely fantastic with some of their online stuff. Or I put in an order, and they call me up like an hour later. They're like, hey, something happened with our system, this, and this, and this is how we're going to fix it. this, and this, and it was awesome. I haven't had any other experience ordering online with other companies. Discs that I wanted to try. We're fortunate here in Fort Fun to have several different disc golf shops that you can go to, and you can probably find what you need. If not, it is basically useless. So, yes. Yes. Paul Gillis said, surprised that MVP is so high. I guess it might be the humidity here, but I can't hold on to their slick plastic. ESP has my vote. I think this was based across like all of Latitude 64's plastic types, all of Innova's plastic types, not just specifically this type or that type. Like with Dynamic Disc, it wasn't just like their Lucid or their Lucid X or their base plastic or all that kind of stuff. I think it was across all of them. And I could see that. I could see the humidity being a factor. It definitely makes things way more challenging here in the Midwest during certain times of the summer, where it makes it difficult for other people to grab onto their disc and sling it well. However, I have self-diagnosed, but probably true, hyperhidrosis, so my hands are always sweaty, and that is my superpower. So when it's raining and humid, the grip on the disc for me is the same as any other day. And I also use a crap load of chalk, and I have a dirt bag and a whale sack as well. So, best marketing, I find this hard to believe. Innova takes the third place spot. Discmania, 2. Discraft, 1. Innova doesn't do like any marketing that I see outside of a few random banner ads on the tour, but that's besides the point. Best disc golf brand online presence. We have 2 ties here. Tied for third, Dynamic Discs and Innova. And first is Discmania and Discraft. So, as well as the best pro team, no surprise here, don't have any trilogy on here from when the survey was taken, but they had Discraft at number 1, Innova at number 2, Discmania at number 3, although this was definitely before these results had to be taken from all before the big moves here in this past offseason, because woof was that rough. That is rough. But yeah, moving on to our next topic here, talking about the winners and whiners from Dynamic Discs. We have Dynamic Discs Open. Our winners, shout out to Ricky Wysocki and Kristen Tatar, both getting their second Elite Series win, both shooting incredibly well on very tough courses. A lot of OB, a lot of wind, a lot of fun to watch, in my opinion. I know some people were complaining and didn't like it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great watching the pros deal with the wind and watching some of the pros not dealing with the wind. Some of the ones that kind of surprised me. Paul Macbeth did not make cash. He did not make the cut. To be fair, everybody's saying, oh, this is the first time he's missed the cut in whatever, outside of when he was injured at USDGC and he tried to fight through it. I don't totally count that. He was injured. So bravo for him for trying to do that. But yes, doing that, he did not do well. I don't know if he's trying to deal with something physically, if he just had a bad day and then tried to make up for it, and it just, everything snowballed or whatever happened. With this wind, it was very tough. With this OB, it was very tough. Very exciting coming down the stretch. Hole 16, 17, 18 with Kristen Tatar and Katrina Allen shooting it out, going back and forth. I believe Katrina Allen had one up on Kristen Tatar. They go to hole 16. Kristen Tatar runs the putt, misses, hits the pole, and holds on to the last piece of grass before going OB into the water. Katrina Allen, not so lucky. Not so lucky. She goes OB, ends up taking a double on that one, and it was not good. It was not good at all. But she recovered and brought it pretty close until they both birdied the next hole, parred the last one. She tried. It happens. kind of a similar situation what happened to Kristen Tatar and Paige Pierce at Champions Cup a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that is about that. So we had some excitement there at Dynamic Discs. We also had a lot of the pros taking to social media to whine about their play. My favorite, and I just want to put this out here. I'm gonna borrow a phrase. I'm gonna paraphrase it though a little bit. I've got a great show lined up here. Got a great show going on, but due to poor internet design, my stream might blow up. So if you did not see it, I believe it was Joel Freeman posted online saying that I had a great round going, but due to unfortunate course design, my score blew up and he shot poorly. So he's blaming course designer Eric McCabe for his bad score because he said he was complaining. I forget which hole it was off the top of my head. I believe it was at Country Club. No, it was at Jones Supreme where you have to throw over the water, make a gap, and there's some trees that you have to navigate. There's huge gaps, and it is a little bit of bad luck if you hit a tree. That's why you always have to thank Treesis. God, get with it, dude. It was not poor course design. It was poor play. You had a bad hole, you let it get to you, and you got to move on. It happens to all of us. It happens to the best. It happens to the worst. It happens to the mediocre. That's what I have to say about that. And yeah, taking to social media to whine about that, whining about your poor play doesn't help anybody. Making excuses does not make you a better pro. It makes you a crappier player because now you're blaming the wind, the OB, the course designer, the trees, the grass, the squirrels, the carrots. I don't know. We'll bless all the squirrels until we get vashniked. It's a good movie. Name the movie. Anybody out there in chat gonna name that movie? But we've got, and so taking to social media, taking to Twitter, taking to Instagram, and complaining about that is not good. Admit that you threw some bad shots. Admit that you couldn't handle the wind, or you need to work on something, or you made poor decisions. Yeah, that's the other thing is, did anybody not pay attention to the previous president? Do not tweet on the pot. There you go. That's about all I'll say about that, because that's just kind of funny. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Take a breath, read it, and just wait 10 minutes. Don't send it out immediately. He's not the only one. He's just the most famous example. Gannon Burr talked about how the baskets were just awful and they need to be standardized and this and that because he whipped it at the basket and it spit out because he threw it at like 100 miles an hour. I am learning myself on how to throw softer putts because I use my body to putt. It's all legal and I don't step past my putt, but I get my hips into it. I get my legs into it. I get my arm into it. And I put a lot of force behind the disc. And in some of my recent tournaments and matches, it's been super windy. So you have to kind of zing it in there before the wind gets it. But there's a fine line to ride. And as a pro, I know he's 16. He gets a little bit of leeway because he's 16 and hormones and whatnot. But dude, you gotta calm down and throw it a little bit softer. And you have to deal with the wind. It is what it is. Everybody had to play in those same conditions. Everybody had shots that looked great, and there was a gust of wind that either slapped it down or picked it up and carried OB or whatever. And he just, and it happens. It happened to every single person, male, female, doesn't matter. It happened to both divisions. You all played in the same conditions. You all played the same course. It was a tough course. It was a very tough course. And you had to play placement shots. You had to play to specific landing zones. You had to keep the disc low and realize that you have to play golf and not try to zing it down 450 feet when you really should be going for 350 feet, a nice low controlled shot where the disc will stick and stand inbounds and stay there just fine. And then your next shot. Maybe it's your next up shot. Maybe it's another long drive after that. It happens. This is where it was a huge learning experience for a lot of pros of how to play golf. Because even though it's called disc golf and we say it's golf, there wasn't a lot of, in a lot of other courses, and it's not a knock on other courses, but for the most part, other courses that we play in general, even our lower level, the plebs out here, when you play, you're just trying to whip it out there as far as you can, and there's like no OB. There's no control. I can throw the disc, 400 feet, and there's a 400-foot hole out there. It doesn't matter if I'm 100 feet to the left or 100 feet to the right. That's fine. It doesn't matter. There's no OB. Now, if there's OB, maybe I power down and I try to throw 300 feet. And I know that I'm going to be in bounds, because it doesn't matter if I go up and I'm pin high, but I went out of bounds 180 feet back. It doesn't matter. I have to go back 180 feet, take another stroke, and throw an upshot. That's not fun. It's not. Need softer putters? No, I putt with classic soft judges, and I have tried multiple times to switch away from the judge because I thought the judge wasn't good for my putting form, how I was doing it. And I went to the dagger, and I hate the dagger because it has no bead. I went to the EMAC judge, and I hate the EMAC judge because it has a micro bead. I tried the maiden. It felt a little too shallow in my hand. I tried the Swan 2 Reborn, Electric Boogaloo, and that didn't really feel great in the hand either. That was the closest one. I've tried AVRs. I've tried darts. I've tried Lunas. I don't like any of them. I like my judge. I like my big fat bead on the bottom, and it feels great. And I've adjusted my form a little bit. I realized because putting is so weird, you have to kind of figure out what works for you. And that's why nobody's putting form looks the same. And there's no real consensus on this is how you spin putt. This is how you push putt. This is how you turbo. Well, there is consensus on how you turbo putt. I know how to turbo putt. I love turbo putting. It's great because it confuses the hell out of people. You just flip it and it goes. I don't use it that much in the wind because it's a little bit inconsistent when you try to throw it into a headwind. It usually flies off my hand. But I digress. With that, I figured out what I was doing, and I've kind of adjusted my starting point, which helps me get a flatter release rather than a hyzer release. And that has solved all of my problems, and my putting percentage has been going up. Yay me, Hercules, Hercules. I've got all the movie quotes today. But yeah, the pros whining online is annoying, to say the least. There are weird situations. There are situations that walk the line. The best example I could give is last year at Worlds with Brody, where he started out by doing the right thing and trying to talk to the officials on the ground about getting the rest of the driving range rented out before he went and did something. And they all just kind of brushed him off, and it didn't work. And so he finally just did it and made a post about it, talked about it. If something like that, if a more recent example with the T-pad at Jonesboro with Paul Macbeth in the playoff hole, if he talked to the tournament staff, the tournament director ahead of time, and they told him to go pound sand, not literally because I think there's sand under those T-pads, but if they told him to go pound sand and, jog on, then yes, make a post, talk about it, because it needs to be something that needs to be addressed. If he didn't, then he's kind of making excuses, and it's frustrating. Was it going to be a good shot regardless if he slipped? I don't know. It looked like it came out decently early. Was it because of the slip? Was it not? Who knows? I don't know. That's the tough part. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, so complaining about stuff like that is frustrating. But the flip side of that is, admitting like, hey, I had a bad day. My timing was off, my drives were off, my whatever was off. Or in both of those situations with Paul or Brody, if they went and talked to the staff and said, hey, guys, here is a very major fixable flaw in your course, in your setup, in your whatever, and they bring attention to it, and they basically tell them to go jump off a bridge and not in the fun way at like Worlds or something, then yeah, go to social media and say, hey, I tried to do it the right way. Now I'm going to apply some public pressure. That's kind of where I'm at with that. What's your opinions on wearing earbuds during tournament rounds? Mine are they should be banned from tournaments because they hinder communication with the card mates and officials. They need to be alert. That is from Huge Bonus or Hugh Bonus. I don't know why I keep saying huge. Reading is hard. Catholic school education here, man. Earbuds, I am not a fan, and this is something that I didn't totally realize because I play so many casual rounds, but coming from multiple different sports and working at the collegiate level and working at the high school level, you can't have smartwatches, you can't have phones near you, you can't have any of that stuff to be able on the field. Like the coaches can have a phone. Obviously, me and my job, sports medicine, I need a phone. If there's an emergency, I need to be able to call 911. But where was I going with this? I don't think it's a good idea. I think we're going to see in the next year or two, hopefully a rule come down the pipe where, especially at the pro tournaments, but where phones are banned, because it is very easy to have people tell you conditions up ahead of the course and essentially cheat and just go, hey, in the Elaine King situation, if there was malicious intent by any of the parties involved there, it's not hard to just go to have a buddy tell, like in this case, like text, and then could have, caused a bigger issue for Kristen Tatar. That's not what happened. All intents seem to be on the up and up, but it's not saying it can't happen in the future. What's to stop Philo from texting Calvin and tell him that, like, hey, everybody's been coming up short on this, so you got to give it a little extra, for whatever reason. Or, he threw, it looked like a good shot off the tee, but it's blind around the corner. He's actually in the crap. You can lay off and take it easy, lay this one up. It's no big deal. I think phones from the pro level tour should be banned and just leave it in your car, leave it off the course, which would then take care of the earbuds problem. Because yes, they're not alert. They're not paying attention. I know I'm not going to be making friends with that one, but I think that's what it should be. We're not far off from somebody cheating with that to get a better score. And I would like the PDGA or Disc Golf Pro Tour. Pro Tour is its own entity. It doesn't have to abide by the PDGA rules. They can abide by whatever rules they feel like. They can adopt 80% of the rules and then skip out a couple, leave off the 30-second rule or something like that. I don't know. But they could also add their own rules, like no phones on the course. The only people who can have phones for live scorekeeping are the UDisc official people, whoever that is. It can happen. That's kind of where I'm at with that one. Headphones are the same. I've tried to play with headphones. Like I'll play with casual rounds. I've tried to play with headphones. I don't like it. It is horribly uncomfortable. I have the Anchor, Soundcore by Anchor, whatever. The noise canceling ones. They're super nice. They're great when you're cutting the grass because they cancel out all that noise and my ears don't feel bad at all when I'm done cutting the grass. But I don't like playing in them. I don't know how everybody can do it. I don't know how they think it's comfortable. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm okay with, in a casual round, playing music through a speaker, as long as it's not too loud. But yeah, staying alert, staying aware of what's going on with your surroundings, whether that's in a casual round, in a competitive round, in a pro round, you need to know what's going on because you never know when someone's going to throw a bad shot and start yelling for, and then you got your headphones in, you're not paying attention, and you get smacked in the head, or you get smacked in the back, or you get hit in the hand, or something happens, and then you get hurt. And then it's your own damn fault. You can't get mad at the guy who threw the bad shot who's yelling for. Now, the guy who threw the bad shot and doesn't yell for, that guy's a dick. That's all I got to say about that. Phone shouldn't be allowed. How about the rangefinders? I think they should be banned too. I want to see a challenging round for pros. Plus, they take up unnecessary time, which equals delays. I like rangefinders. I actually use mine quite frequently. I think what needs to change a little bit with that is pros getting used to using their rangefinder and using it more efficiently. So you can, like, a lot of times when I pull out my rangefinder, I'm on in a more unknown course in a wider open area, and I don't know exactly how far it is. You know, I'm kind of at that, like, do I use my fairway driver? Do I use a mid range? What is it? I laser it and we're done. Usually I'll pull out my laser and shoot the target from where I'm standing. Hopefully it's close to my disc and I could just shoot it and go, oh, well, it's 300 feet. I'm pulling out this fairway driver on a big old Spikeheiser line. Or what I've done before too, which is what I heard, I think it was Jen Allen talk about it on PDGA radio. What she does is wherever she's standing, she'll shoot the target, shoot the disc, and do the math from there, and it's close enough. I think what's going to happen is people are going to get more used to using rangefinders and use them more efficiently. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. I don't use them as much on, say, my home courses, the courses that I play all the time, because I generally know where I'm at and how far I am. Tournament situations, it might be a little different, especially if I'm on the fence. Like I said, if I'm torn between a fairway or a mid-range, then I might pull it out. But on courses I don't know, it's kind of nice to pull it out and just, even on the tee real quick, if I'm not first on the box, or even if I am first on the box, go shoot it and go, oh, well, it's 300 feet dead straight to that tree. So if I throw my Raider straight at that tree, it's going to end up hyzering out before I ever get to that tree, and we'll be in the land of milk and honey, and it'll be great. That's kind of where I'm at with that one. I think pros just need to be a little more, I think we all, maybe not the pros, that's just because they're on coverage. I think they all need to be just more efficient with their time, and how they utilize it, and start thinking about your shot as you're walking up, and go, as you're walking up, you're going, all right, okay, so I am in the middle of the fairway, so this should be an easy standstill upshot with my putter or mid-range or whatever. Looks like I'm off in the bushes, looks like I'm going to have to pitch out, and so I want to pitch out to the middle of the fairway, and from there, then I can use my whatever to get up the rest of the way, or however else it goes. You know, that's what I do. I'm not a pro. I don't know, like, that's just how I've always played the game. Maybe that comes from playing baseball and just knowing the situation. Go, okay, I got to run around first. If I'm playing second base, if I get the ball, flipping it to shortstop to tag him out at second, to get the force at second, going to first. Or if I'm playing outfield, all right, if it comes to me, I know I got to catch it, I got to do this, and I got to throw here. Even with football, for a certain extent, like, hey, all right, I'm analyzing the play, I'm analyzing the formation because I played a lot of defense. I'm analyzing that as they're walking up and going, all right, so this guy's here, this usually means I do this, and I'm blitzing, so I'm going here. That's just kind of how my mind works. And maybe that's not what some of these other professionals have done, or other disc golfers. It's not uncommon for me to walk up to someone on a disc golf course and get talking and find out they've never played a sport before. So they might not totally understand. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Casual round, take your time within reason, obviously. Tournament round, I'm going to be holding you decently close to that 30-second timer. On a tee shot, yeah, that's for sure. But on a tricky putt, there's crap in the way. All right, I'll give you a little leeway there. If you're in the woods, if you're deep in it, I'll give you a little leeway there. But generally speaking, I'm going to be like, all right, dude, you need to pick up the pace. Like, here's your unofficial courtesy warning, and then I'll give you a courtesy, and then, sorry, I've given you ample opportunity to pick up the pace of play. Now, if that rule changes, I would not be upset with that, but that is how the rule is written now. I believe that is what I have going on. That is all I have. What time? How long have I been? Holy crap, I've been talking for an hour. Time flies when you're having fun. That is for sure. And we had a lot of fun today. We talked about our winners, whiners, and warriors. I don't know where the warriors came from. I just like the alliteration. I liked I liked being able to talk about that. But yeah, did have a giveaway for our 600 followers, now up to, which then dropped to 599 and then up to 601. I don't know what happened with that. It happened to be the weird times that I was looking at the YouTube stats, but did have a winner. I did reach out through a comment, which if you're listening to this podcast, which I hope you do, then you need to go ahead and shoot me an email. Contact information is on the About page at YouTube. So not super difficult. Go ahead and claim your prize of the Joe's Disc Golf hat. Your choice. Flex Fit, Adidas, or Visor. Whatever. I don't judge. You'd be like Coach Ted Lasso, wear a visor. You know, all you got to do is beat Jennifer Aniston, the New York Yankees, and I'm in the championship. If you haven't seen those commercials, they're fantastic. That's what the Ted Lasso Apple TV series was based off of. But I believe that about wraps it up. And I don't think there are any more questions going on here. YouTube stats are all over the board. Either no one's watching or everyone's watching. It's really weird. Thank you, YouTube, for having inconsistent live stats. But thank you all for watching. I've been Joe. You've been awesome. If you get a great tree kick, don't forget to thank Treesus. And if you get kicked deeper into the woods, well, you need to reflect and repent because you have transgressed against Treesus. Thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.